KLIF News and Information Time is 6:17. What exactly comes to mind when you think of barbecue on this hot first day of summer?
You just say the word barbecue and my mouth starts watering.
Yes, ribs.
Had some really good barbecue over the weekend. Won't tell you where we went. It just happened. I mean, we like to go here, there, and everywhere.
Right.
One of the places we like to go is Soulman's.
Mm-hmm.
Soulman's Barbecue, one of the best in Texas, and Brett Randle is the CEO of Soulman's. Good morning, Brett.
Good morning. How y'all doing this morning?
Just fine.
Good. How's that beef brisket going?
Fantastic, buddy. We always love that brisket.
I was going to ask you about that. What time of the morning do you usually start the brisket? Because brisket, for those who don't know, takes all day long.
We actually start that brisket at night.
Yeah.
We put that brisket on about 8 o'clock in the evening, and then it smokes all night long, and we pull it off at about 8 a.m. in the morning. So it smokes a good 12 hours.
About 4 hours a pound?
That's about right.
Yeah.
It just falls off the bone by then, right?
Absolutely. Well, no bone.
Well,
on
no
that.
bone, but I mean, yeah, well, you know what I mean.
But that's the idea.
Yeah.
All right, Brett, the reason we called you is we ran across an article in eater.com in which and I can't remember his name, and I can't find the article at the moment, but it doesn't matter. This guy who's apparently a widely known food expert said he knew he was going to start an insurrection and become the number one enemy in the world by saying so, but he wanted to make sure that everybody understands that as wonderful as Texas meats are, smoked meats are, that's not barbecue. He says barbecue is only pork, not beef. Have you ever heard that?
No, I haven't. I read that silly article.
Did you rip it up and throw it away?
No, I didn't, because I had to do a story on it this morning. So I looked it over a few times, but I believe that you've got to be pretty careful when you begin to stereotype food, especially barbecue, because there's just so few absolutes when it comes to food. A lot of talented cooks out there, and a lot of different ways to do it. Now, that being said, barbecue does have some pretty deep roots, and it's steeped in tradition, so you have to respect that.
I mean, you have Texas barbecue, you have Texas barbecue, you have St. Louis barbecue. I mean, there are so many different areas that have their own versions.
Yeah, and I think, it's a ridiculous notion to say that beef brisket is not barbecue for several different reasons. First of all, barbecue is not a particular type of food. It's a cooking method.
Right.
Barbecue got its name from the word barbacoa, which was a term used by Native Americans, and it basically described a method of cooking that incorporated two steaks holding it over an open flame. And over the years, we've kind of developed that method into what we now know to be barbecue, which is meats smoked low and slow over indirect heat until they are fork tender.
When you come right down to it, barbecue is probably the earliest form of cooking in human history.
It is. We've got kind of a saying that, about 10,000 years ago, man invented fire, and the next day they invented barbecue.
And the difference between barbecue and grilling, because people always use the terms interchangeably.
Yeah, I completely agree with him on that fact. In fact, it's kind of a pet peeve when somebody says they're going to go barbecue. I think that's more of a West Coast term.
Yeah.
We certainly do not recognize grilling as being barbecuing.
That's right.
As I said earlier, it's about cooking those meats low and slow over indirect heat. But to kind of further my point, to say that brisket is not barbecue would be the same as saying that fried catfish is not fried food because it's not chicken. And so you just can't do that.
That's a good point.
Good analogy there.
Yeah. So yeah, people really need to know, if they don't already, that saying, well, let's get out the Weber and barbecue some hamburgers. You don't barbecue hamburgers in any case. You can barbecue on one of those inexpensive backyard grills, but you have to know what you're doing. You have to know what you're doing, right?
Sure you can. As long as you're using wood and you're cooking it over indirect heat and cooking it for a long period of time, hey, knock yourself out. You are barbecuing.
I've made some excellent long smoked ribs on a hibachi. It's not easy, but it can be done.
It can be done.
So you're going to send this guy some barbecue from Soulman's? Kill him with kindness?
Yeah, he asserts in the article that he loves beef brisket, and when it's done right, it's one of the most delicious foods out there. And I don't really understand what his point is. I think he's just trying to start a media firestorm, and there's a lot of PO'd cows out there right now.
Well, we know what we got here in Texas, and it's just the best barbecue in the world, and Soulman's is certainly at the top of that list. What are there, like 4 locations now, Soulman's?
Actually, we have 15 locations now. So there's quite a few more than that.
Well, excellent. Brett, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. I was going to say so early this morning, but I expect you're up
already
earlier
up
than this every day.
Absolutely. Just one last point, if y'all have a second. I think opinions are truly what makes America great. However, when we're talking about barbecue, don't mess with Texas and don't mess with our brisket.
You betcha.
All right.
Great. Brett Randle, CEO of Soulman's Barbecue, to set the record straight.